about the game.
And you know what? You're probably not going to see a Zed here today. We do see the two teams flip sides, so bans are going to change. We're still going to see Rogue Warriors keeping that Samira ban. And again, more interestingly, we're not seeing the likes of the Pantheon, the Olaf, the Kaisa, these three kind of kings and queens of the LPL being taken away. But there's the expected ban of Olaf by Rogue Warriors. Again, that was Haru's first game on it this split.
Yep, first game on it and didn't really work out for him, but we are going to see a swap of sides, and actually we see now slight differentiating bans. There's still a couple of things available. Kai'Sa's still on the board here if Rogue Warriors want to go for it. Not something I feel like Chocho is incredibly proficient in, but see what they want to go for. And actually they are going to take on the big man bear into the jungle. Haru saying, look, I can do this. I can make this happen again, and we'll have to see what he can do with the pick.
And we talked about in game one that I feel like one of the ways you can counter this pick, at least standalone, is lots of long range and lots of zoning tools and disengage, right? We talked about the Galio last game, things like the Thresh, Syndra, long range CC, keep him at arm's length, potentially just be able to blow him up early before he's able to find that way onto the backline of your carries.
The Renekton is something that has slipped through the bans, so you could potentially see a Rare Adam going for maybe Talia or Renekton combination, something like that. We'll have to see what Leia wants to go for, and see, looks like they're going to go for the Renekton so far. So yeah, we talked about it in the last pick, but the three big major power picks right now are Olaf, Kaisa, and Renekton. Pantheon is kind of in there as well, but I feel like with the slight nerfs he got, he's not as, important, I suppose, for teams. And two power picks going over to, Rare Adam is a pretty big, give up for a Udyr.
I just love that this is like the whole "this is yours, this is mine" meme is coming to life on our screen. We see the answer to the Renekton coming in as the Jace from Ziv. I do want to keep that as a potential flex pick just because it's not a champion that fits Ziv too well in my mind. And we do know that Forge especially plays a lot of these like AD, more, we'll say like bruiser assassin like mid laners. I am happy that we are getting that Jhin from Chocho like we talked about.
Yeah, like you said, you wanted him on something he's far more comfortable on, something that can just play safe on the back end, maybe try and, clean up kills with the curtain call. And like I talked about there, just before we see the last pick, coming in for the side of Rare Adam, they are going to lock in the Talia or Renekton. This is such an incredibly powerful combination of damage in the early game that you have to give it respect.
I'm a really big fan of this. In terms of where Rare Adam want to go next, I would like to see some kind of like heavy CC support option, whether it is, I was going to say the Alistar, but that could span, or something along the lines of the Leona. Typically, when you do have the Talia in your composition, you do just want more things that can set up her composition, and even those supports would go quite well against the likes of Jace and Jhin, who are playing at that farther range.
Well, the bans are coming in thick and fast. You can see Rare Atom focusing on that mid lane. Looks like they don't want to give anything too big over to Forge in terms of AP scaling. For Rogue Warriors, they've gotten away the Alistar, and they're going to ban away the Azir as well. But a bit of a curious one on that. Azir has kind of risen to prominence, given all things, but the Orianna's still open. That's something that has a lot of, very good matchups, or at least neutral matchups to go into.
And again, I actually kind of question both mid lane bans on both sides coming out of these. I do like that we actually see the Leona coming out from RA, but RA have the counter pick in terms of the mid lane. I don't necessarily think Azir would fit the theme of their comp too well when we have all these like very early aggressive picks. Not to say that, of course Azir can get pushed in a lot of early mid lane matchups. I think RA's composition looks a lot more early skirmish oriented rather than what an Azir would provide, but hey, with Rogue Warriors picking up the Orianna, it at least makes a bit more sense.
Yep, picking up the Orianna. Again, like I said, very safe, very neutral, has a big AoE ultimate as well that can turn away a fight. But with the pickup of the Orianna, what do you want to go for now if you're RA? And there's plenty of options because you've got the magic damage in Talia.
Yeah, that's the thing. So right now they're obviously hovering over the Yone. They do lock in. I was going to say whether you want to go for that or the Lucian would have been a bit more awkward with champions like Jace and Jhin in their composition. So I like this. Gives you an AD mid laner, gives you more all-in potential in your comp. Because, right, we have so many champions that just have ways of getting on the immobile backline carries that Rogue Warriors provides. And I don't think for RW they're going to have the same time that RA did with this Udyr pick. Sure, they will have early pressure in the mid lane 100%. I think top lane is a bit more volatile. If we do see Lian make, an early gank on his first clear towards top lane, it can put it in Cube's favor, but if not, we know Ziv will have control over the wave with his range advantage. And then, bot lane should be, I'd say, a pretty stale matchup, assuming Chocho does just go to his role of, throwing out the QW and focus on clearing those waves.
Yeah, but Leone, of course, has a lot of pressure in the early game. Once he gets that Seal of Faith as well, the ultimate, he's able to just kind of create space or negate the space you have created between you and him. Something that Jhin is going to have to be very, very aware of coming into these maybe, like early to mid-game team fights. I'm not super happy with this Udyr quote-unquote denial from the side of Rogue Warriors. Like you were just talking about, it just feels like you're not going to have the same amount of agency early on in the game to make it do what Lian did it in the first game.
Yeah, and the thing to that for me is that Rare Adam just have a lot of tools to impact the map early on and prevent something for Haro like what happened for them last game where, you were able to find that first gank, you were able to start getting your team ahead. Now again, Lian has a very easy time if he wants to look towards something like the full clear towards top lane, try to set up the gank onto Ziv, blow his flash, or, even just get the full-on kill with the point-and-click CC coming out from your W. So when I look at what Haro can do, you don't have an easy time impacting any lanes. Maybe he can look for the same gank that Lian went for on bot lane if Reheal can find some nice CC or if iBoy and Hung are pushed up. But guess what? iBoy and Hung are going to expect that timing because their team just played with this champion. They understand how Udyr works.
Yeah, they know that at 3 minutes, 10 seconds, or roughly around there, maybe even a little earlier if you want to be super safe, they know that that's going to be something they have to be aware of. They should ward it out, potentially even just walk away and give up 1 or 2 minions. Far better, as you can see, in the long run to give away, 30 gold or less to, the enemy champion or away from your own team than to give up 900 or 1,000, as we saw in the first game.
And we even see the adaptation here, right? They go in, they get this early ward on the red buff, so they're at least going to have a bit of an idea of where Haro is going in this game. And again, I expect, especially the mid lane for Rare Adam, Fofa will be playing a bit safer in the early levels. Yone comes online really heavily at 6 when he does have that ultimate. Bot lane should be a bit of trading back and forth, but without any heavy mistakes. I don't think all in should really be able to come out from either side. So we're looking at Haro and Ziv, and we're looking at Cube and Lian.
Yeah, and you can see I actually like this move from the side of Rogue Warriors. They're actually giving an accelerated start to Haro right now and saying, look, last time we let every jungler kind of go, and that was the timing on that, but now we're basically saying, like, we are going to let you get as far ahead as possible, as quick as we possibly can. They're going to give over a nice little leash, good little exchange in the bot side, and this is why you pick the Thresh into Leona. I feel it's just a very good disengage to stop those Xenoblades when you have got the Flay.
Exactly, so Reheal at least gonna have a lot easier time of making sure that Chocho doesn't find any ways into the enemy team this time around. Going back to jungle pathings, I really like what Haro's doing going towards the top side because, right, it was pretty telegraphed that we knew Lian would be making his way up there already. So Haro going to go for this, going to try and match, going to allow Ziv the safety to be able to out-pressure in this range versus melee matchup and hopefully get that crab as we get a replay.
It's showing that they had full of awareness, I guess, that the red buff was warded. They know that they've been started, but interesting replay.
It is. I assume that Reheal and Chocho would just know because, iBoy and Hung walked into the jungle right in front of their face, but good that we got that tidbit.
You know what? It's always good to get confirmation in those situations. Did they get the full information? Yes. Awesome. Let's move forward with the game, I guess. Moving on. And looking a little bit like we were talking a lot about the Udyr, but Lian, this is a champion that can make his lanes work very, very well for him if he can get those early aggressive kind of ganks off him, especially in the top side. So I'm curious to see where he's able to go, what he's able to make happen. To see in the bot side, great Flay again from Reheal, but those W's on top of Chocho will just proc the extra true damage there from iBoy. Lian is here, flash in there from Hong. They're trying to catch somebody out. He will try and get the knockback. He does. The hook goes wide. Hong picks up that kill with the ignite. And that is first blood again going over to Rare Adam.
This is what surprised me, especially about the Azir pick, that we set up that, hey, RA can just pick this Leona. It was the expected champion. It sets up the Talia so well. They go for the heavy trade right before the wave hits turret, and it sets up for that dive so well.
Oh, speaking of dives, we can see Cube now getting jumped on by Ziv and Haro just keeping the wave at arm's length. He needs to be careful, though. This wave cannot be crashed, and now he just loses half his health bar, and I feel like Cube played that pretty damn well. Like, it just basically said, right, there's no wave coming in. You're just going to lose health from this and time.
Yeah, we didn't see Ziv able to stack that wave. Of course, we didn't have a pro view or have the OB on Ziv's laning phase, so we're not exactly sure why, but another just team point that we need to make about Rogue Warriors is that they don't typically play it on the top lane. This is not like a synergy they have developed between Ziv and Haro. Haro almost never goes top to support Ziv in his laning phase.
Not something we've really seen them do, and that's the conversation, I suppose, that you can bring up that we've talked about in many different matchups, is that the mid-jungle synergy is generally what you see, and the reason we kind of talk about that a lot more is that there's a lot more avenues to get in as a jungler into the mid lane. You can go from top, a little bit towards the enemy Raptors, a little bit towards the enemy, kind of blue buff. There, it's straight up through the lane, left, right, up, down. There's a lot more angles to approach from. Whereas I feel like in top lane, there's just kind of two. It's either get behind them through the bush or get behind them through the alcove, and that's kind of it. So it doesn't really work out, especially against something like a Renekton that has got those early clears available.
And he already has the plated steel caps as well, so it's actually going to be even harder for the likes of Ziv to pressure in that lane and get him low enough to where Rogue Warriors can set up a dive. But hey, Haro is sitting in this bottom lane brush. Rare Adam's lane is pushing into them, and I think Rogue Warriors can look for this. Hung has no flash.
He has no flash. They're trying to bait them in as much. They're waiting for the Zenith Blade. That's what they want. They want the overcommitment from Hong. iBoy and Hong, though, they feel like something's going on, and they've given time for Leyen to join down. Here we go. We're going to see the flash away from iBoy as they do get the slap down onto Hong. The Zeta Blade was just a fraction of a hair away from landing down on top of it, but Cube taking a very favorable trade now against Ziv, and this is the power of those, steel-plated toe caps. They're just able to kind of make you take those trades far more aggressively and look to try and punish something as aggressive as the Jace. And as I say that, there's the cold of meat. Cube will survive because he has the Triumph, and he will stay away from the turret. Great move there on the top side.
Yep, and Renekton does spike at 6 in this matchup. Jace doesn't have an ultimate. Renekton does. You hit on the plated steel caps. He finds the empowered W, is able to get off a strong trade. Really good from him, and right now, Rare Adam winning out on both sides of the map.
Yeah, they're winning all over the place right now. You can see Reheal trying his very best, but the seismic shove says no. And even though it's not exactly as explosive or as early as last time, this is looking very similar to game one.
Yeah, and after that last gank in the bottom lane, we already saw that Rare Adam were building up a wave. So it seems like iBoy was keeping up that slow push and trying to trade and deny Chocho and Reheal. It gave enough time for Lo Yen to just back off into his own jungle and just look for the repeat gank because they did have such a nice wave built up, even if they had to look for a dive.
And we see Fofo now forced to flash. He just gets slapped in the face by the bear. There's the shockwave as we can actually see the Weaver's Wall coming in. Great ultimate from Fofo keeps him alive. The Sealed Fate now Forge is in a hell of a lot of trouble. He has flash available and the Dark Passage. Great little outplay there from Fofo to keep himself alive.
You're right. What a beautiful ultimate, barely getting out, and then Lo Yen's presence really denying anything like Haro or Forge flashing forward to deny that kill. Reheal also showing up just in the nick of time to provide a lantern. And now we're going to see Reheal go up towards that top side. But now we're at a point in this matchup where I don't feel like Ziv should be able to chunk Cube down low enough for them to look for any meaningful trades. So they're just going to use his top lane prio to start off this Herald right away. But we already see Hung and Lo Yen are already here.
Yeah, they're already there. And see if they want to try and deny this. They may be able to go for it. However, I will say that the biggest problem right now is this will be a 5v4 as Chocho had roamed up well before iBoy had. iBoy did not get the reset off just in time, but he is pushing that bot wave by himself, so he's going to be able to pick up a hell of a lot of gold here solo onto this Kai'Sa.
Yeah, it's going to be a trade that I think overall is actually going to benefit Rare Adam more. He should be able to get the 2 plates as we see CS is being denied onto the likes of Chocho. But as a silver lining for Rogue Warriors, right, this is not high-tier League of Legends. Your 2 teams sitting at 1 series win. I feel like for Rogue Warriors, maybe just overloading the side of the map that you want to take the objective on might be better. Sure, you will lose out on more gold on the map, but we're seeing if this game plays out like standard League of Legends, Rogue Warriors aren't going to win this game. So I like the play. They bring Chocho up. They overload topside. They get Herald. Maybe moving Reheal and Chocho more around the map. You know, bring the Jhin mid lane. Open up the curtain call onto Fofo, who doesn't have a flash now. Look for those kills. And it'll at least give you pressure in places and an avenue to start playing through.
That's what you want right now if you're a side of Rogue Warriors. You just want an avenue to try and make something happen. But I feel like the vision that they are able to keep on top of Haro is just absolutely impeccable from the side of Rare Adam. They are just consistently finding out where he is, where they need to go. Tried to go for something in the mid lane, but there was already a ward on that topside river, so they were able to see where he was going. They see him go towards the Gromp, so they know exactly how much time they have. If they can go aggressive on this for Fofo. It's just becoming hard for the side of Rogue Warriors to make anything happen, but something that we actually didn't really mention is that the CS differential in the jungle, it's 20 CS. Lian on this Talia, who is supposed to be a quote-unquote, you know, a slower clear, it's still pretty damn quick, has just been wrecking Haro on the Zoot here.
I mean, he's just been able to do it right through the plays he's been making. It's allowed for the members of RA to move with him into Haro's jungle. He has been taking away some camps, as we've seen, to where for Haro, his only option is to full clear his own camps. We did see him play towards topside early, but they weren't able to get the dive off. The times he's played towards bot, they weren't able to get anything. And then Fofo was keeping up relatively well in mid lane, so they weren't able to actually play around mid because Fofo actually started falling more behind after that gank from Haro came in.
I have a quick question. I'm going to put you on the spot right now, Jordan. If you were to make another poem, who would you write it about on Rogue Warriors? Because I feel like Haro hasn't had the best of series to warrant a poem being written about. If you were to choose any gleaming light in this series, who would you choose?
Oh, I still feel like he's the best player on Rogue Warriors, no doubt. So I would just write a second poem. Maybe it would be a bit more like sad and have some sorrow in there, but I mean, Rogue Warriors just don't really have the tools or laners to work with, though. I will say that I at least feel like their laners are a lot. Ooh, is Haro.
Oh, Flash Bear Slap. They do not land. Sonic Blast. The Seismic Shove neither will hit. And the top side, Ziv is still there, still trying to be as aggressive as he can, try to keep his jungler going, but you expend your flash for flash, but I feel like it's far more impactful for Haro to have it than it is for Lian.
Definitely agree, right? I mean, we've been starting to see the range advantage after Lian flash, that it's going to be tough for Haro to find a way getting onto Lian, especially where Lian is more accelerated at this point in time, whether it's the CS you were mentioning earlier or the kills. So Haro now is probably just going to full clear his jungle once again, going to do his Wolves and do his Raptors, and then just look for another reset and look for that first mythic item. And for the side of RA, you can look for some resets and go straight into taking that dragon.
Yep, it's a simple enough setup for Rare Atom, as they can just kind of slowly whittle away the health bars and the resources away from Rogue Warriors. Rogue Warriors don't really have a huge amount of priority anywhere. They know they're going to lose this dragon on bot sides. They're full committing using this Rift Herald into the top, try and get Ziv as many plates as possible, but it's going to be hard to take the tower altogether because it is a... ooh, we get a nice little split screen here. I like this a lot. And they're just trading on the other side of the map. iBoy's been getting all this free time. He's getting 20 CS up himself, and probably all 4 of those plates going solo to him.
I'm just happy to see Rogue Warriors making this trade, right? Because you just said it. They can't contest the bottom half of the map against RA right now. We hit on a few minutes ago about overloading, you know, a different side of the map. They do that. They do bring Jhin to catch waves in mid, have Forge hover towards the top side, drop down the Herald. So at least they were able to get some gold back, despite the fact that RA obviously win the gold trade, as well as picking up experience on all 5 of their members.
Yep, and you kind of feel that they committed 3 people on the top for Rogue Warriors. I feel like Cube gave a huge amount of respect to that, you know, kind of setup, and was still able to keep himself alive. Well, with Hong just hovering up on this top side, Reheal hovering with his jungler, they might look to try and maybe steal something here. The hook is good. There is no flash onto Talia, and if you can get on top of her, you can kill her. Very nice pick there from Rogue Warriors.
Agreed. Now they're just going to be able to turn towards his top lane turret. Cube is here. He does still have the Dominus, though.
There is a TP coming in from Fofo, though. He will have full health, full cooldowns, and maybe look to try and get something out. They will be answered up on the top side. The Shockwave does not hit anything. The Fate Seal just goes straight in onto the back line, but it might be a little bit too far forward. He almost gets out, not quite far enough. And they will get themselves another pick. While this is all happening, we actually see iBoy is playing PvE. He's just been farming in the bot side. But 2 quick kills for Rogue Warriors. There is life in this team.
Yeah, they're at least going to find footing, but actually the gold lead slightly increased for RA during that time overall because of all the work that iBoy was doing in the bottom half of the map. RA do just get a bit ahead of themselves. Like you said, it was a nice invade coming out from Haro and Reheal to start that one off. They do find the pick. We see them have to react to Cube getting doled, but then Fofo just going a bit too far forward, looking for the all-in, thinking that they'd be strong enough to take that. They weren't. He got caught out. And now we're still in a place where RA definitely have control of this game. And one thing I want to highlight is also, we highlighted so many times the amount of XP that RW were losing in those trades. Cube has a 1-level advantage. Luyen has a 2-level advantage. Fofo is actually the one member who's down because of the plays he's been making, but even iBoy is up a level on top of Chocho. So, massive experience lead for RA that's making a big difference in a lot of these fights that should be coming up.
And let's actually talk about experience right now, because I feel like it's something that's not really discussed apart from that person is ahead of this person. Talk to me through why levels are so important and why we put such an emphasis on having even just a 1-level lead.
I mean, you think about even just terms of like your champion base stats, right? Where you're getting a certain amount more AD, a certain amount more armor, a certain amount more health. You get 1 more point in ability. That could be, you know, something like 60 more damage on your Q. It's these small incremental gains that, especially across 3 to 4 champions like RA have, that even out to like a 1,000 gold component overall, right? Worth of stats in these fights. So definitely a meaningful impact. I was starting to stop because I thought a fight was going to break out, but
keep going, my friend. You have plenty of time.
At the end of the day, they get away. But yeah, overall, right, when you have about 4 levels worth of leads on different members of Rare Atom, that is like a, you know, 1,200 gold item, a BF sort of component along those lines. It's probably worth more. Clement's the stats guy, so, you know, if he's in
he's
chat,
the numbers head.
He could probably give you the effective gold value.
Yeah, and that is why we put such an emphasis, and especially in the jungle role where levels obviously equal to higher smite. That is incredibly important and incredibly valuable to a team, but just even looking at it from, like you said, a BF sort of such of, you know, that's probably even more closer to the 2,000.
I looked it up. The average gold value per level is about 500.
It's a lot of money for just a straight up XP. And especially when you're looking at it from like like you said, 2 levels for Luyen, 1 level for Cube, 1 level for our iBoy, which just got equaled out there by Chocho. It can equal up, it can become a bit of an issue, but let's have a look quick at the player gold, and right now it's iBoy and Luyen. Luyen's been making the plays, iBoy's just been playing PvE. It feels like it's all on this big Shockwave from Forge. He's kind of the only one on his team that has money right now to be able to make a play.
I mean, still, right? At least it is on your member that does have at least AoE impact, especially against Rare Atom's team comp, where it is pretty short range, and they do want to come into you. Those are the scenarios where a champion like Orianna thrives.
Ooh, Cube thought he had a flank, but he has been caught and burst down. Nice little pick there. Haru flash in, bear slap. They're going to get all these ultimates out, but Haru goes a little bit too far forward. The Zenith Blade lands at max range. iBoy did fly in, but they are not finding any more purchase. The important thing to notice here, though, is that Rogue Warriors lost their jungler. There's a flash, there's a hook. They're able to catch out, but with the workaround there available, they finally trade it back. The fate has been sealed. They're jumping straight in. This is such a close fought battle right now. It's all on iBoy. Now he gets to play with his champions, and he gets a double kill. Overall, a 3 for 4 in favor of Rare Atom. They cannot take the Mountain Drake just yet, but they will get priority in the mid lane.
And that one was so telegraphed. I'm not a huge fan of Forge utilizing the Shockwave to find the pick onto Cube, because even in a 4v5 scenario, I think Rare Atom do have the tools to fight Rogue Warriors. Rogue Warriors, their only true engage in my mind is Chocho opening the curtain call and then members like Haro running forward. They don't exactly have enough poke from this Jace to really whittle down the likes of RA and then look for a potential engage. So after getting that pick, they just have to go for it. They do it. And as we see, you have members like Lil Yen and iBoy who are just able to kite out the members of Rogue Warriors and then look for that turn.
Still a very, very close fight. Is about a 4,000 gold lead as the Dragon has been started up again. Everyone is back on the Rift. There are far less summoners and far less ultimates available to either side. Weaver's Wall is still there. They have the Killer Instinct just coming up, and it feels like that's going to be an easy secure there for Rare Atom. There is the Solar Flare coming down on the backside. Cube flashes in. He had the Dominus going and Pop ready to go. Shockwave lands, but only onto one on the backside. And there is the shotgun. Click, click, boom. As iBoy jumps straight back in. It's a double kill for Cube. It's going to be another 4 kills for Rare Atom. And this game has blown up in their favor.
It's so early in the game, right? We're 30 seconds before Baron. RA can't even transition this into anything other than pushing lanes. They should get this mid lane, but even potentially the bottom lane turret, take some camps. But I really love the way they played that. You highlighted earlier on the vision control they've been able to get this game. It allowed for Cube to find a really nice angle, and I'm so happy we're getting the replay up now. You can even look at the minimap. Cube is already heading over, and it feels like he has such a monstrous impact on this team fight. Looks for the flash, goes for the slice and dice, brings out the W onto Chocho, gets blown up right away. The shockwave only hit one member. I do think it was the Kaisa, but it didn't matter. iBoy jumps in right away. And again, they have item advantages. They have gold and level advantages. We see now, just compare iBoy's items to Chocho's. He's already sitting on his 3rd item, already has a collector, and also already picking up a Zeal item.
Yeah, it is. It is tough right now for Rogue Warriors to try and find any kind of silver light. And we talked about it before, Forge could find a shockwave. It just got onto one person. Yes, it was onto iBoy, arguably the most important member, but no one could follow up on that. And this is something that I feel like a lot of teams are forgetting when they pick the Udyr. Your Udyr is not your engage, or rather, he cannot be your engage, because if he doesn't have flash, that's effectively, you know, no real engage for you for the next, 5 minutes or however long it takes for your, flash to come up before the next fight. That's just not good enough in these fights where you have things like Cube flanking on the Renekton, and the Yone can go in. Hell, even just the Leona throwing out the Solar Flare and trying to find someone out there. That is just too easy for the side of Rare Atom. And here we go, a seismic shove onto Ziv. Peppered him down with some rocks. Just too damn easy here for Rare Atom. They're on soul point.
And to be honest, even if Rogue Warriors comp did have more engage, Rare Atom wants to get up close and personal to fight, right? They have the Yone, they have the Leona, they have Renekton. Kaisa wants to jump in. They would be completely fine with that regardless, but it feels like for Rogue Warriors, you do have some range tools you can play with, right? You can keep them at bay with Jin W, throw out the Jace poke, open a curtain call, maybe pull down a shockwave, but I don't actually see how you layer enough damage to kill anyone meaningful on the side of Rare Atom, because it takes so many of your impactful cooldowns to even take down one, right? Let's say you throw out the shockwave, accelerate shock blast, you open curtain call, maybe you take down Lil Yen or iBoy or Fofo, but you're still gonna have the other 4 members to deal with, and your composition is a lot more spell and rotation based than RAs who can just put out more flat DPS.
Speaking of DPS, they have plenty of it to throw onto this Baron. Look how quickly it is being melted. There's something that Rogue Warriors could do. 22 minutes and 23 seconds will be the timer for when that is taken. There is absolutely nothing that Rogue Warriors could do there. There's just too much damage. They would have had to have been there waiting for that play, and even then, that just opens up their side lanes to being split pushed. So there is no good option there for the side of Rogue Warriors, and great call from Rare Atom.
Yeah, it's only going to get worse from here, right? You already talked about the side lanes. We're going to see the 1-3-1 come out. Kaisa, the perfect AD carry to have along with this composition, can catch waves in mid, hover towards a side, and can always follow up on the plasma stacks with her ultimate, so very easy for her to join the core 3 that we see pushing this top lane turret.
Oh, we see Fofo checking in to Ziv for a little bit of damage, and then quickly checking out using the Soul Unbound. Not quite able to kill off that turret just yet. iBoy being chased down by Haro, but iBoy's 3 items. He is not afraid of you anymore. You are not a man bear pig. You are very much a little baby cub who's just trying and act big, make himself as big as possible. But that is a very, very hungry hunter with a very powerful shotgun. And we can see Fofo jumping straight onto Ziv. As he goes back, Ziv will not die to the Soul Unbound passive. They keep themselves, at the moment, alive in this game.
Also, we're getting to the point now with these second items, we're having a lot of sustain come out from Rare Adam, right? We see the Bloodthirster on the Yone. We see the Sterix Gauge and Gore Drinker on Cube. You don't have any Grievous Wounds as of yet coming out from the side of Rogue Warriors. So it feels like Renekton especially is going to be allowed to run rampant in any more of these skirmishes.
On our picture-in-picture there, both Ziv and Fofo using their flashes to try and catch each other out. Speaking of catching each other out, we have to see Hong. Whoa, going super aggressive because he has no fear. Reheal is going golden. The shockwave does land, and actually 2 kills straight away for RA. They are just being absolutely immaculate in their execution of this game. They only needed 2 people to make that play work. They're going to be able to push in this mid lane without any minions. They get the top lane going as well. Fofo is uncontested. Leyen takes the final and 4th shot to the face. He is taking more and more poke, but he does not care, Jordan. He does not care about all this damage because they know that they can't capitalize on it.
Right now, there just isn't enough damage for Rogue Warriors sitting on 1 item and just a couple of components. So Loyan going to default back to that Mountain Drake. Now it's going to get even worse with the shield coming out. And you've already pointed it out. I pointed out. The fans all know. This is done and dusted. This is a 14k gold lead for the side of Rare Adam. There isn't an imaginable scenario in my mind that you can convince me where Rogue Warriors win this game. Which is sad to say. Sad to say is, again, someone who wrote a love poem for Haro.
Yeah, you had a whole segment for them, and you can't even find the light at the end of the tunnel right now. And honestly, this feels like right now the most one-sided series that we've had all spring split. This feels like it's a statement series from Rare Adam. And yes, we're disappointed in Rogue Warriors, but we can't take away just how impressive this is from Rare Adam, from a team that has had ups and downs so far at the start of the split. It's a team that hasn't looked incredibly, untoward as the team that knows what they're doing, as a team that could maybe challenge for a playoff spot. This series in its own right is definitely saying, look, we're at we're definitely looking to try and play here, and we're going to try and get better as long as the season's going on. So I'm very impressed with Rare Adam so far in this series.
I could talk about from my time, coaching in the LMS, coaching in CBLOL, working with players, especially when you're on a team that's struggling like this, getting 1 win back as I pause. Who's I'm gonna go for it? Nope.
It should be fine.
Getting 1 win back, even if it's over a lesser team, the kind of morale boost and camaraderie that can bring, the mental reset that it gives your team can go a long way.
Well, speaking of a mental reset, we're going to start resetting this fight as Fofo goes in and immediately backs himself out. And they're just keeping the side of Rogue Warriors away from this turret. They're going to be able to kick down the last inhibitor turret without any real problem. Shockwave is the ball delivery system on top of the Udyr, and he's immediately deleted from the map. The Gore Drinker on Cube means he shall not go down either. It's a double, it's a triple, it's a quadra for iBoy. And you know what's going to happen now. They're going on top of Forge. Pentakill for iBoy, and Rare Adam will clean this series 2-0.
Absolutely beautiful play coming from iBoy with this one, and nice to see Rare Adam putting themselves in the win column once again.
Great series win for Rare Adam. Rogue Warriors, they're throwing a lot at the wall and not a lot sticking, but Rare Adam, this is a massive statement series to them, and honestly something that I think they really did need coming just before the final week before we go into Chinese New Year's break.
It was just so great to see, right, that this whole game was just pretty much set up with, okay, Rare Adam were in a lot of winning situations anyway. We saw good laning coming out from their bot lane, really nice play from Lo Yen around both his top and bot side of the map, Cube surviving those potential dives coming out. Then we got to the point where Rogue Warriors realized, hey, we don't have a lot of options with these lane allocations. Let's start going top, getting Herald, looking for plates on the opposite side of the map, and we just continues to see iBoy farming in bot, getting solo XP, solo gold, and it all leads up to this massive item difference, which leads to the pentakill. Feels great.
Yeah, I feel bad as a little bit as well because I promised you that I would let you have a pentakill thing.
did.
And I completely forgot. I completely forgot, and I apologize. It's all right. The next series will have one, I guarantee you. We've had a hell of a lot of pentakills in the LPL